Good morning, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, listeners and learners, watchers, all subscribers. The most honorable President Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, respected ministers and doctors, honorable advocates, advertisers, administrators and advisors, reverend fathers and mothers, affectionate sons and daughters. I, Dr. Rakesh from USA, heartily, cordially welcome all of you. It is really nice time, nice place, nice action. You are listening with your 100% present sense of mind. We are growing towards Diwali celebration. Our every day is being our ideologies, psychologies, philosophies that we have contained in our mind will bring revolutionary and visionary change in our nation. You know that through the history of our past, everyone who has grown and brought changes in the ages of the world, they were belonged to their different nations, caste, color, creed and language. But initially, they spent their time commonly and generally with the worldly people. Their routine was usual, like a common man. But later on, by their subsequent changes, by their deeds and actions, it brought a great change in the nation. Dear friends, today's title, a topic that we have selected for enhancing, increasing the capabilities, mental abilities, physical abilities, and even spiritual abilities of our youngsters. You are listening the truth, science to spirituality, language to literature. Simply we are confused with words, leaders or misleaders. Good leaders guide, bad leaders misguide. STEM word, lead, is the name of distance. It is the second name of distance. So dear friends, our mind is the great leader of our body. Our mind is the monitor, manager, director, everything. All and all is our mind of our body that is written in all our holy scriptures and holy books by the holy persons, those who came on this holy land. Dear friends, everyone, those who are listening, watching, reading, writing, whatsoever you are doing in learning, that is really praiseworthy and admirable. But the truth behind all these skills are you are becoming natural. This nature or naturality, spontaneity will make you equal, one, and unite this soul with the spiritual soul. There is an ancient Indian story about the mother who asked her guide, "Is life tough?" The guide said, "Yes, it is. But if you do the right thing, the end is better than the beginning." The mother looked at her children and thought to herself, nothing could be better than seeing these kids grow up to be good adults with the right values. Spiritual values, social values, morals, ethics. These are the basics or fundamentals of our citizens. Every common man, common people, those who are residing at distance in the remote areas, in India and abroad, they know this truth. How motherhood is more important than mother. Fatherhood is more important than father. Sportsmanship is more important than sportsman. Studentship is more important than student. Our abstract is more important than material or concrete. So dear friends, we have to understand this concept of Indian mythology. Night came and the children were afraid. The mother pulled them closer. The children said, "Mother, so long you are here with us. We are not afraid of anything." The mother thought, nothing could be better than seeing my kids grow up to be courageous. The next day, all of them were climbing up a hill. The mother encouraged her children, saying, with a little more effort and patience, "We will be up there." They all reached the top and the children said, "Mother, we could not have done this without you." That night, the mother looked at the stars and said, "Nothing could be better than this day because my children have learned determination with which to face obstacles in life." The next day there was a storm. The mother told her children, look beyond the clouds and see the bright sunshine. The children looked up and saw beyond the darkness. That night the mother got down on her knees and prayed, "Nothing could be better than this day, because I have given my children the ability to see beyond darkness." Years went by. The mother became old and weary as her children became tall and strong. Their character and courage shone through as they supported their mother when the path was tough and she needed help. At last the day came when the mother had to leave the world. She said, "I have reached the end of my journey, and now I realize that the end is better than the beginning, because my children can walk alone and then their children after them." The children said, "You will always walk with us, mother, even when you are gone." As they saw their mother leave the world, they said to one another, "A mother like ours, even in passing away, is not a memory, but a presence. She may be invisible, but she is always by our side." That's leadership. It's leaving a legacy that prepares others to carry on with courage, determination, and the ability to see the larger picture. True leadership is the ability to be a catalyst for change, to inspire and persuade people to follow the righteous path. A leader puts ideas into people's minds and inspires them into action, empowering one's followers rather than consoling them is the whole mark of true leadership. A father's sacrifice empowers a daughter to face the world. A daughter's love. Her hair was up in a ponytail, her favorite dress tied with a bow. Today was Daddy's day at school, and she couldn't wait to go. But her mommy tried to tell her that she probably should stay home. Why, the kids might not understand if she went to school alone. But she was not afraid. She knew just what to say, what to tell her classmate. Oh, why he wasn't there today. The little girl went to school, eager to tell them all about a dad she never sees, about a dad she never sees, a dad who never called. One by one the teacher called a student from the class to introduce their daddy. As seconds slowly passed, at last the teacher called her name. Every child turned to stare. Each of them was searching for a man who wasn't there. Where is her daddy at? She heard a boy call out. She probably doesn't have one. Another student dared to shout, and from somewhere near the back, she heard a daddy say, looks like another deadbeat man. Looks like another deadbeat dad. Too busy to waste his day. With her hands behind her back, slowly she began to speak, and out from the mouth of a child came words incredibly unique. My daddy couldn't be here because he lives so far away. But I know he wishes he could be, since this is such a special day. We used to share fudge sundaes and ice cream in a cone. And though you cannot see him, I am not standing here alone. 'Cause my dad is always with me, even though we are apart. I know because he told me he'll forever be in my heart. With that, her little hand reached up and lay across her chest, feeling her on her beat beneath her own favorite dress. And from somewhere in the crowd of dads, her mother stood in tears, proudly asking her daughter, who was voice beyond her ears. And when she dropped her hand back down, starting straight into the crowd, staring straight into the crowd. She finished with a voice so soft, but its message clear and loud. I love my daddy very much. He is my shining star. And if he could, and if he would be here, but heaven's just too hard. You see, he was a free man. You see, he was a fireman and died just this past year when airplanes hit the towers and made the meaning of freedom very clear. But sometimes when I close my eyes, it's like he never went away. And then she closed her eyes and saw him there that day. And to her mother's amazement, she witnessed with surprise a room full of daddies and children, all starting to close their eyes. I know you are with me, Daddy. To the silence she called out, and what happened next made believers of those ones filled with doubt. No one in the room could explain it, for each one of their eyes had been closed. But there on the desk beside her was a fragment long stamping close. And a child was blessed, and a child was blessed, if only for a moment, by the love of a shining bright star, and given the gift of believing that heaven is never too far. A father left a leader even after he was gone. A true leader works at creating more leaders, not followers. A leader inculcates in people the desire to carry on the mission after he is gone. It takes internal security and competence to create new leaders. Leadership is another name for moving confidently on a firm foundation. What is leadership? Leadership is not about making emotional speeches and leading demonstrations. Leadership involves trust, and only those inspire trust who have the ability to subordinate their ego to the greater good. Mahatma Gandhi had no guns or money, but he had the power to move hundreds of millions of people. He had their trust and they walked behind him. Leadership is often demonstrated when the chips are down and the odds are against us. If Columbus had turned back, he would not have been blamed. But when he could not have been remembered either, or great leaders have displayed great perseverance. Our leader's personal example acts as a catalyst in inspiring others to follow him. One of the strongest desires that a follower has is to be identified with his leader. The leader who gives that identification to his followers acts as a motivating factor for them. There is no such thing as a neutral leader. Leaders are either good or bad, effective or ineffective. Good leaders guide, lead, and bad leaders misguide and mislead. People are looking to emulate leaders who are living and breathing examples, not idealized characters from a work of fiction. Leaders are to the followers what hope is to the hopeless. Only a dad with a tired face coming home from the daily race, bringing little of gold or fame to show how well he has played the game, but glad in his heart that his only joy is to see him come and to hear his voice. Only a dad, but he gives his call, but he gives his all to smooth the way for his children small, doing with grace, stern and grim, the deeds that his father did for him. This is the line that for him I pen. Only a dad, but the best of men. Leadership is not only demonstrated in the battlefield or in times of crisis, but in everyday deeds. For example, a mother raising 4 kids on a small income, parents teaching good values to their children, A person initiating to get the neighborhood garbage dump cleaned. A person leading a campaign. A person leading a campaign to build ramps for physically challenged children in schools. A person helping the elderly or invalid to cross the street. An individual offering to carry a heavy bag for an old lady. These are the unsung leaders of everyday life. It is only when you become willing to assume a greater share of your responsibility towards yourself, your family, organization, and the community that you assume the status of an everyday leader. The challenges of daily living can be daunting, but leadership is not about cutting. It is about creating the right environment and building the right spirit. Leadership is about respecting the spirit of action and standing for a cause. When was the last time you took a stand? Leaders take bold stands. Cowards, on the other hand, avoid situations that challenge them. Our life is not determined by where we are, but by what we are. We go along with people to get along because we are looking for comfort and not accepting challenges. We seek approval more than respect. Margaret Thatcher, standing in the middle of the road is very dangerous. You get knocked down by the traffic from both sides. Why are people afraid to take a stand? Because it is inconvenient. So long as people prefer convenience to conviction, society always goes down far. Always goes downhill. People who are afraid to take a stand prefer to play it safe all the time. They are wishy-washy and hence not trustworthy. Martin Luther King said, if a man hasn't discovered something, he will die for. He isn't fit to live. Some people don't want to accept responsibility or the accountability that goes with it. They find it easier to make excuses and blame the world. It's just never their fault. They prefer security rather than struggle. They feel, I am too weak and helpless, and the problem too strong. I cannot make a difference. They become comfortable with misery. They put up with misery simply because they are afraid of change. Take a stand. No useful contribution to society has ever been made without taking a stand. There is a fine line between feminists. There is a fine line between firmness and stubbornness, fame and popularity. Taking a stand means that you take and maintain a firm position for or against an issue. Although history, when great leaders have taken a stand, they have been willing to accept and suffer pain. They have been tortured, burnt alive, exiled, and shot but they have not compromised on the longer interests of society. They believed in the philosophy that it's not the number of years you live, but the principles you stand for in your life that is important. Good leaders do what is right rather than what makes them look good or popular. The search for cheap popularity at the expense of morality, ethics, and honesty amounts to looking for honors without honor. What is popular is not necessarily right, and what is right need not always be popular. Abraham Lincoln says, stand with anybody that stands right. Stand with him while he is right, and part with him when he goes wrong. Churchill demonstrated great leadership and courage during the Second World War. We shall go on to the end. We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beach. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender. We shall never surrender. Winston Churchill address to the House of Commons, 4 June 1940. Credibility gap. Why is there a credibility gap and distrust in today's leaders? It is because their promises amount to nothing more than lies. Some leaders change their principles for position. Others change their positions for their principles. William Shakespeare has rightly explained that the devil can cite scriptures for his purpose. The devil can cite scriptures for his purpose. Followers can and do easily recognize a phony leader, often called a pseudo leader. Now you might ask, if people recognize a phony leader, why do they support him? How do dishonest politicians get elected? There are a number of reasons. Most often it is a choice between two evils. People prefer a known devil to an unknown one. They are looking for the lesser of two evils, which in reality may not always be the case. When they knowingly elect the wrong person, it is not because of trust, but because they are going in trade off. What they don't often realize is that they are only trading an imaginary gain for long-term pain. Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi says, cowards can never be moral. In an environment of uncertainty, people usually look for short-term gain. They feel short-term gains prepares them to handle long-term uncertainty. People who elect dishonest leaders to public offices for personal gain don't trust such leaders themselves. They need to ask themselves two questions. Would they appoint these people as guardians of their children? Would they appoint these people as trustees of their estate? If the answer is no, then anyone who supports a dishonest leader is behaving responsibly, being antisocial, and is as much an accomplice to the crime of that leader as the criminal himself. Someone asked a priest, when you see a politician, do you pray for him? The priest replied, no, when I see a politician, I pray for the country. What is the good leadership? The concept of good leadership has not changed over time. Given are elements of distinction between pseudo leaders and great leaders that guide their behavior. Pseudo leaders have position, great leaders have action. Pseudo leaders have control, great leaders have support. Pseudo leaders have authority, great leaders have monitoring. Pseudo leaders have technical expertise, great leaders have people expertise. Pseudo leaders have talk, great leaders have listen. Pseudo leaders have tell, great leaders have ask. Pseudo leaders have self-centered, great leaders have relating well to others. Pseudo leaders have gives order. Pseudo leaders give order. Great leaders get input. Pseudo leaders scares. Great leaders inspires and motivates. Pseudo leaders are secretive. Great leaders informs and enlightens. Pseudo leaders waits for consensus. Great leaders creates consensus. Pseudo leaders assumes communication. Great leaders get feedback. Pseudo leaders have scheme. Great leaders have plans. Pseudo leaders manage things. Great leaders lead people. Pseudo leaders keep power. Great leaders empower. Pseudo leaders intimidate, and great leaders coach. Pseudo leaders drive. Great leaders lead. Pseudo leaders rely on reputation. Great leaders rely on character. Pseudo leaders look for short-term gain. But few leaders, great leaders accept short-term pain. Pseudo leaders even at the expense of long-term pain, but great leaders accept short-term pain for long-term gain. Citizens may not mind sacrificing for a cause of the country, but they certainly wouldn't want to sacrifice anything for a dirty politician. How do we recognize a pseudo leader? A surgeon, an engineer, and a politician died and went up to the gates of heaven. Saint Peter was waiting for them. He said, "There has been a mix-up somewhere. Our accounting department didn't realize we were supposed to get only one person. Now we have got three, and we cannot really accommodate that many. How do we figure out who is allowed in?" After much debate, it was finally decided that the person belonging to the oldest professions would be the one to enter heaven. Right away the servant jumped up and said, "It's got to be me." Creating Eve from Adam's rib was a feat of surgery. It had to be done by a surgeon. Therefore, I belong to the oldest profession. Wait a minute, the engineer said. It couldn't be you. Before God created Adam and Eve, there was chaos. And creating order out of chaos is a work of planning that can be accomplished only by an engineer. Therefore, it's got to be me before you. At this, the politician jumped up and said, "Both of you stay behind. Who do you think created chaos?" Pseudo leaders are generally without conscience. Their greed prompts them to indulge in misdeeds, causing irreparable damage to society. Pseudo leaders are more like partners in crime. They trust each other only out of convenience and self-interest and prey on each other during times of crisis. Pseudo leaders take a stand till opposition appears and then they change or run. A pseudo leader is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. He is wrong, but he looks right. Pseudo leaders perceive value as something disposable if the price is right. Only George Bernard Shaw asked a socialite, if she would spend a night with him for £1,000. The socialite snapped and said, "I am a respectable married woman. How dare you say the guts to ask me that?" Bernard asked, how about £10,000? This time she exploded, threatening to call her husband. Still persistent, he offered £1,000,000 with the assurance that nobody would ever find out. This time she said, "Perhaps." What if I were to offer you only £10? He asked Mr. Shaw. "You are insulting me." The woman was shocked. "Who do you think am I? We have already established who you are," he pointed out calmly. "Now we are only haggling over the price." Pseudo leaders cannot resist the highest bidder. He believes in honesty. when he is bought. He stays bought. The more he claims that he is honest, the more firmly one should hold on to one's wallet. He gives publicly and steals privately. He has a magnetic personality in that he pulls one's money like in which they get the money and the public works. It is not unusual for pseudo leaders to behave like dogs for the sake of a bond. A pseudo leader is the kind of person who would murder both his parents and then plead for mercy on grounds of being an orphan. The lack of ethics in pseudo leaders is the root cause of the destruction of living with honor. To a pseudo leader, power of potent and money is omnipotent. He has $1,000,000 smile. He smiles only at millionaires. When you lend him money, he tells you truthfully, I shall remain indebted to you forever. When he borrows money, it is not only against his principal to pay interest, it is also against his interest to pay the principal. If you want to learn the difference between capital and labor, lend him money. The money you lend him in the capital while struggling getting it back is labor. He stands for everything that he thinks others will fall for. The main emotions that motivate most politicians are fear, anger, superstition, doubt, jealousy, greed, insecurity, ego, hate, revenge, indecision. A pseudo leader has a mind of his own. A pseudo leader has a mind of his own. Pseudo leaders have minds like concrete, all mixed up and fixed forever. The narrower the pseudo leader's mind, the broader his statements. A pseudo leader runs a large-scale operation with a small-scale mind. He cannot be called a cheap politician. Pseudo leaders will stoop to any level for cheap popularity, even when that involves compromising on their morality, ethics, and integrity. Pseudo leaders would tilt the country to balance the budget. When he asks you support him and a good government, he is asking you to vote twice. Once for him and the second time round for a good government. His time is divided between running for office and running for cover. How are politicians different from statesmen? Statesmen look for breakthrough while politicians thrive on breakdown. Statesmen generate cooperation, confidence, and creativity. Politicians generate confusion, conflicts, and controversies. Statesmen strategies. Statesmen strategize, politicians dramatize. Statesmen lead, Politicians mislead. Statesmen improve the lives of others. Politicians improve their own bank balance. Statesmen direct and strengthen their character. Politicians misdirect and corrupt their followers. Statesmen dream, politicians scheme. No wonder the game dirty politicians play is called politics. If you bifurcate the word into you will get poly means many and ticks are blood sticking bugs. So politics means many blood suckers. The management philosophy of a politician is source of energy, greed, vision, what in it for me, management style, looking for trouble and finding it everywhere, sense of justice, protecting the guilty, punishing the innocent, sense of motivation, rewarding the incompetent, source of strength, chaos and confusion, stubborn like a donkey, stubborn like a donkey. A farmer once had two donkeys. He wanted to find out which of them was more stubborn than the other. So he tied the two with a 15 feet rope. He put two stakes of hay 25 feet apart and let the donkeys loose. Each donkey started pulling towards its own stake of hay. After tugging, pulling, they started choking each other. But they were donkeys. They contributed pulling in their own direction and eventually choked each other to death. They could have both gone together in one direction and eaten one stake of hay and then gone to the other and eaten that too. But they didn't do it that way. Why? Because they were donkeys. They choked each other into death. The sad part is there are many donkeys who exist in human form. When some of them get into positions of power, they cause irreparable damage to society. Pseudo leaders are a part of our everyday life. You may come across them personally or professionally. They may even be too close for comfort, a friend or a relative perhaps. They believe in law and order, so long as they can lay down the law and give the orders. They are always looking to advance politically by bribing, appeasing, seducing, confusing, manipulating, and threatening people. When a pseudo leader asks for advice, he is actually looking for an accomplice. They think of securing their seat rather than securing their country. Their solutions are usually worse than the problems. Followers fake loyalty to pseudo leaders and then pull the rug from under their feet. Will Durant says, a civilization is not destroyed by barbarian invasion from without, but it is destroyed by barbarian, multi, but it is destroyed by barbarian multiplication within. True leaders not only love the truth for its own shape, but also despise deceit. They understand that falsehood can be far from painful than the hardships that accompany honestly. Henry Wordsworth Longfellow says, lives of great men all remind us we can make our life sublime, and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. Thank you, dear brothers, sisters, listeners, watchers, likers, subscribers. May God bless all of us for viewing, watching, seeing, liking, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you, thank you, thank you, dear friends. Thank you.